Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I've been missing in action for past couple of days. Just chilling out, taking a breath or taking a breathe as they would say. I want to talk to you today about, what's on my mind as it relates to religion and the Bible and God and all these beliefs that we hold dear. When I talk to Christians, they basically don't want people to question God or to question the Bible. As a matter of fact, some people just think it's blasphemous for us to be questioning the Bible or questioning anything that the Bible dare say. But if you're a thinking individual and God gives us a brain to think, we're going to question things. We are going to question things because once there's a question to be asked, people are going to ask the question. So to just want people to swallow what we have been told, it's just not, it just doesn't make any sense because people have a brain that thinks and asks questions. Especially, I understand, when you're reaching certain age and stage in life, it makes you question things even more. So of late, I've been finding myself asking a lot of questions about the Bible, about God, about religion, etc. Especially after my harrowing experience and with what the church has to offer people and people who call themselves Christian, how they treat and relate to each other. I have had my share of bad treatment. I've seen a lot of stuff happen, and I see how a lot of people call themselves Christian behave. But then this is not about me right now. The thing that I am contemplating of late is this Adam and Eve story and this Bible, the God that the Bible reveal. There was a time when I just suck up everything that I'm told by the Bible and I question nothing, I just accept it as the gospel. But when you look into things a little deeper, and sometimes it comes from sometimes it comes from just your interacting with people of different belief and persuasion. Some don't even have a religion. Our Bible is a real questionable book. And I'm not saying it is everything now, because there are some good gems in the Bible. So don't want to throw the baby with the bathtub, as they would say, or the bath water. But take for instance, a lot of religion will criticize other cultures and other religion that sacrifices animals, sacrifices to their gods by shedding blood. Tell me, what is the difference between though, and we will condemn them for like sometimes a lot of African religion, they will say they're sacrificing blood, making blood sacrifices to demons and so on and so forth. But what's the difference between that and what we see in the Bible? That's my problem. In the Bible, it shows a God who says we have sinned from the Adamic experience, okay? We have sinned because sin and death pass upon everybody because the two human beings that God made, Adam and Eve, they sinned. So sin has passed upon all of us. We're born in sin now because of Adam and Eve. But when you start to think about it, is it just for a God of love then a God of mercy, a God of justice. That because two innocent beings, and this thing, I mean, oh my gosh, two innocent individuals, Adam and Eve, were created, okay? That's the scenario. They were created by God, placed in a garden, warned about touching the tree of good and evil, which was created by God himself. And as I've said in previous video, if a mother or a father place an innocent child in danger, like even recently as I speak, there's a lady right now is being locked up for reckless endangerment, negligence and so on because she left a baby in the bathtub bathing while she go take a nap, and of course when she wake up the baby was dead, and of course she was arrested because she is expected to do better and know better. Now you're telling me that the Bible's God, the God that the Bible reveal, right, when he placed Adam and Eve and leave them and said don't touch this tree of good and evil, you're telling me that's not reckless endangerment of two individuals? Are you trying to tell me that that is not reckless endangerment? I keep saying, since God knows the end from the beginning, my feeble little mind says, since God knows the end from the beginning, he should have simply just not put the test or put them in the reach of those that tree that was not supposed to be touched. I would have just put it one side, and people are going to say, oh, we would be robots and freedom of choice. God was just giving them freedom of choice. Yes, but look, the whole point of the matter is, even though freedom of choice is cherished by God, as we would say, but at the same time, you know the end from the beginning. That freedom would have not been that freedom would have not been exercised properly. They would have sinned because God knows they would have sinned. If he did know it, he would cease to be God. He would cease to be God. So it's basically, I take it back if I'm wrong, but for me, how I see it, if God is going to be God and put two individuals in a garden and say don't touch, and he knows the danger that would result, which is the wicked world that we live in, of war, crime and bloodshed, I would simply say, you know what, I look down the line and I see where these two are not going to listen to what I'm saying. I see where the devil is going to come and tempt them and say, don't, you know what, go and touch it. So I would just say, you know what, rather than testing them, or rather than putting danger in their way, why not let me just say, you know, move this tree, or put them somewhere else where there's no endangerment. But he deliberately put these two individuals, according to the Bible, in harm's way. And so they went ahead and they touched, and here is the result: war, bloodshed. The Bible itself too is filled with a lot of wars and bloodshed. You know, war and bloodshed and sexual deviance is filled the whole Bible, right? It also talks about a God that the only way that God knows how to save us is by killing and sacrificing and shedding the blood of either animals or bulls and bulls and sheep and doves and then his son ultimately. And it is saying that God has to have some kind of pain and suffering going on. The Bible's God. He has to have some pain and suffering and bloodshed going on for us to be saved. And barring that, we can't be saved. And we must accept it and believe it. Because if we don't, then we are also damned. And you're telling me that this God of love and wisdom could not have found a better way to save human beings. Let's say, for instance, he sent Jesus, his son, just to tell us this is the way walk in it, without sending his son to die. then here's the contradiction again upon contradiction. One part of the scripture says he sent his son because he loved us to die for us. So he's the one who orchestrated it, his death. He sent his son to give his life to save us. Another time, part of the scripture saying is as if they murdered the Son of God. They crucified him. So which is it? Is it God voluntarily and Jesus voluntarily come to give his life? Or was it that human beings just being wicked take his life? Which is it? You see, I mean, the Bible is filled with so much confusion and questions that it boggles the mind, you know, and we are asked to just accept and swallow it down and don't question those things, because when you question it, there's a big, you might get yourself in eternal damnation or whatever. You know, but I beg to differ, because God has given me a mind to think, right? Why does the Bible reveal a God of love? But when we look at the characteristics of love and justice, we're seeing a God who delights in the bloodshed of animals, a God who sanctioned, according to the Bible, slavery, which is immoral and abominable, a God who the only way he can save us is through the shedding of blood of animals and his son, a God who is justice say that one person sin or two individuals sin, and that sin must pass down from generation to generation to the generation to generation over, according to Christians, the last 6,000 years. Now which one of us, when somebody sins, or a child sins, or a child does something wrong, we keep on punishing that child and their children and their children's children and their children's children and their children's children, and we keep on, because what? Once somebody eats some fruit, or a fruit that they weren't supposed to eat, or eat something that they touch something that they weren't supposed to touch, and so we have been undergoing now for the past 6,000 years untold suffering. Children are being killed all over the world. I mean, tortured, raped, murder. And God just folds his hand and he watches these things as they unfold, and nobody to come to the rescue. When I think about what happened some time ago in Syria and Libya, where the death of, where is this lady calling me now? Oh boy. How do I pause this? Damn, people always choose the wrong time to call.